Good evening. And first at 5, some big news out of Salem, where Oregon's governor revealed her pick for Secretary of State. You might say it's a choice that seems to set a clear tone for that office moving forward. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. The announcement comes after Shemia Fagan resigned over a scandal surrounding a side job consulting for a cannabis company. Let's get to Tim Gordon in the newsroom. And Tim, Tina Kotek said today she wants to restore trust in that office.
All right, Laurel. And today she appointed Lavon Griffin-Valade, who has a long track record of holding government accountable. Now the former auditor will be Oregon's next Secretary of State. This is a current picture of Lavon Griffin-Valade. For most of the past decade, she's pursued a successful career as a novelist. But prior to that, she spent 16 years as a government performance auditor, first for Multnomah County and then for the city of Portland, including 8 years as an elected auditor. This is video from 2007. Today, Governor Tina Kotek announced Griffin-Valade will serve again as Oregon Secretary of State.
I took my time, and after taking the time to evaluate this very critical decision, I feel strongly that Lavon Griffin-Valade is the right person to meet this moment and regain Oregonians' faith in their government.
Kotek said she'd considered Griffin-Valade from the start, along with many others, to replace embattled Secretary of State Shemia Fagan, who resigned in early May. Fagan resigned amid mounting pressure over revelations she worked a side job as a paid consultant for a chain of troubled marijuana dispensaries, all while overseeing a state audit on cannabis regulation.
I did not make specific asks. What I said to Lavon is, I need your expertise. I need you to take your experience and say, how is the office doing?
The governor says she wants the next Secretary of State to make sure the office is in good shape and then rebuild its reputation.
I know Lavon Griffin-Valade first and foremost from her experience holding government leaders accountable, her ethical judgment, and her reputation as a leader with a steady hand who rises above politics.
As for Fagan, she is facing both state and federal investigations. I asked Governor Kotek what she hoped would come from them.
I want the truth to come out, and I want people to understand the whole story and understand what we learn from this going forward. When a scandal happens, hopefully we learn from it and keep it from happening in the future.
So Griffin-Valade will be sworn in on Friday and will serve the next 18 months. That's through the big November 24 election. Now, it's unclear if she plans to run to hold on to that job beyond that. She'll certainly be asked that on Friday. David?
Yeah, no pressure, right? Thank you, Tim. The big developments now this evening in our homeless crisis, because Portland's street response team now needs a new leader. Robin Burrick, who's led that team since it was formed in 2020, is moving on to another city government job. The program provides unarmed response to 911 calls involving mental health issues. It's been hailed as a model for other cities, though it's had its share of challenges, namely funding. This program was also championed by former Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Now, since Rene Gonzalez has taken over, he's barred workers from handing out tents and has asked them to respond to some city-ordered sweeps.
Meantime, it's a historic ruling against an organization that clears homeless campsites in Portland. Rapid Response BioClean has been found liable for throwing away a homeless woman's personal belongings during a sweep. This sets an important precedent for future sweeps in the city. The ruling just came down in the 2020 lawsuit filed by a homeless person against Rapid Response. It found they wrongly put her things in a dumpster instead of what they're required to do, which is store it for 30 days, regardless of the condition. Rapid Response denies the claim, but owes about $400 in damages to the woman. They did not want to comment when we called them today.
And it sets an important precedent that under Oregon law, everybody's property is valued.
You lose your tent, everything. They pack it up, sweep it up.
Portland's camp removal crews have cleared or removed 4,000 sites in the last 12 months. That's according to city data. We don't know how many of those sites Rapid Response cleared, but some argue they've been throwing out people's things all along. Coming up at 6 o'clock on The Story, why the attorneys behind the case believe this could be just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's head up to the Seattle area, where one city is trying a different approach in its efforts to catch criminals. In Linwood, it looks like something out of a sci-fi show, or maybe it's one of Q's James Bond inventions. A little box on the front of a police car, and using an air compressor, it can shoot a GPS tracker through the air and onto the back of a suspect's vehicle. Tech like this was a response to the 2021 law that limited police pursuits in Washington. While some of the law has now been rolled back, police say this new tech has been so successful, they plan to keep using it.
You know, you've seen the evolution of pursuits and laws change and everything. So this is just another tool that allows us to do it. And again, it's really safer for everyone.
Linwood police say the GPS trackers will only be used for suspected felony cases. All right, let's head to PDX now, where the season of summer travel is in full swing, with flight delays and disruptions elsewhere in the country causing a bit of a ripple effect right here in the Northwest. If anyone knows what that feels like, it is our Mike Benner. Mike, who could forget you and your family stuck day after day after day in St. Louis last December trying to get home with thousands of other travelers? Fortunately, you are not flying today. How's it looking right now?
First of all, David, do you really have to remind me about the travel woes back in December? What a nightmare. Fortunately, nothing like that here at PDX today. I just took a stroll through the terminal, and it appears to be business as usual. And perhaps that has something to do with the relatively low number of canceled and delayed flights at PDX, only a couple dozen today. And an overwhelming majority of those were delays, not cancellations. Of course, good news for travelers, but that's not to say these folks won't run into issues in other cities. I want you to listen to this. Since the weekend, there have been more than 22,000 flights canceled or delayed across the U.S. Why, you ask? Well, we're told there's a shortage of air traffic controllers. And in addition to that, storms in the Northeast and smoke from the wildfires in Canada are slowing things considerably. The timing of this could not be worse. We're less than a week away from the 4th of July, and a lot of people are traveling.
Travel is off with a boom for the 4th of July holiday. We're seeing a record number of people traveling, so we are back surpassing the travel volumes we saw before the pandemic. And the numbers are pretty staggering. We're looking nationwide at 51 million Americans traveling over the 4th of July, and that includes 587,000 Oregonians taking a trip.
Again, the situation at PDX, at least today, is not too bad. Other airports could be worse. You should be aware of that and pack some patience. Back to you.
Well, no place I'd rather be than right here. Thank you, Mike. Still to come here at 5 o'clock. It's been 2 years since the heat dome claimed nearly 100 lives in Oregon. What workers are doing to help make sure that doesn't happen this summer.
Plus, open for business, where you can celebrate the red, white, and blue with fireworks in the Evergreen State, and what one vendor who is also a firefighter says you should do just in case.
And keeping it cool at the Oregon coast, I'm Matt Safino. I mean, this looks great. That's Cannon Beach, low clouds, a little bit of sun up above. Only 62 degrees there. We're in the 80s here. It's going to get hotter for the 4th of July.
Welcome back. Remember this? 2 years ago today was the hottest day in Portland history at 116 degrees, part of the heat dome that locked in over the Northwest, with nearly 100 people dying in Oregon alone during 3 straight days of record-breaking heat.
And Thomas Schultz joins us now. Thomas, fortunately, we're not talking triple digits yet. So what's happening right now to ensure that people stay safe and cool this summer?
Laurel, Portland organizations are installing thousands of air conditioners in apartments of people who are elderly, have medical conditions, or live alone. One of those organizations is Cooling Portland, which hopes to install 4,000 units this year alone. Workers hope to install 15,000 air conditioners by 2026. Cooling Portland is funded by the Portland Clean Energy Fund, which is an initiative passed by 65% of voters in 2018. One person who received a free AC unit today was Mama Sue, who has lived in her Portland apartment for 4 years. She says when it's hot outside, she spends the whole day at her son's house. That means her grandkids don't visit her apartment on hot summer days. Now she can be comfortable year-round in her own home.
I'm happy I got an air conditioner. I better stay hot.
Cooling Portland is just one of many organizations providing Portlanders with free AC. Portland Clean Energy Fund employees say Multnomah County and the Oregon Health Authority are also handing out free air conditioning units. If you would like to find out if you might be eligible for an air conditioner through Cooling Portland, you can visit our website, kgw.com. Laurel?
Boy, so glad she got an air conditioner. You can tell how happy she is. Thank you, Thomas. In Washington, 4th of July fireworks are on sale right now.
Now, keep in mind, there are a number of restrictions here. Vancouver does not allow fireworks in the city. No buying, no selling, no setting them off. The rest of Clark County fireworks are legal on July 4th only from 9 a.m. to midnight. Certain cities have extended dates and times, so check out the county's website for details there. We talked to the owner of Mean Gene Fireworks, who also happens to be a firefighter. He wants his customers to use fireworks safely.
Well, make sure that they have a hose hooked up, ready to go in case there's any issues. Water them down thoroughly. Make sure you don't dispose of them like near anything combustible. And then go out the next morning and do a thorough job of cleaning up. When you can see everything, because that's one of the big complaints of fireworks is that they are messy. So,
good advice there. If you live in Oregon, fireworks have been legal to buy since last Friday, but they are not legal in the city of Portland and in a lot of other areas. They're also prohibited on all beaches, in state parks, on state and federal forest land. Do not be that person. And hey, if you just want to catch a fireworks show right, we got a full schedule up for you at KGW.com. Let us talk about another staple of summer, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, which is set for Seattle's T-Mobile Park. How does this sound for a little taste of the season, Matt and Laurel? Moto Pizza has created a crab pizza with fresh Dungeness crab finished with lemon and herbs.
I think that sounds great.
I know you're into pie and the sweet, so Salt and Straw is introducing a pale stout and Cracker Jack flavored ice cream.
Okay, I'm not sure about that one, but I'd be willing to try it.
Just go for the stout.
But the crab pizza sounds great.
Yeah, only available during All-Star Week, which kicks off next Friday. That is July 7th.
I'd try any kind of ice cream.
The beer and the popcorn and
I know. Not too soon to start talking.
Pizza.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, I'm sure it's not as good as your meatloaf, but the crab
Nothing's
pizza.
as good as my meatloaf.
I know,
wrong
right?
season. Wrong season. No more meatloaf.
Every season. There's no such thing as not meatloaf season.
Barbecue meatloaf for 4th of July? Why not?
We promise we'll catch you up on this meatloaf thing at some point.
It's been a long-running thing for years and years and years. Let's take you up to the mountain right now. The mountain looks great. We've got ourselves just a beautiful day up there. Temperature's only 65 degrees, so nice and cool. Notice the clouds up there trying to build into something, not having much success. Here's another look at Mount Hood. This is from the east looking west from our camera at the Dalles on the Oregon Veterans Home. And you can see these cumulus clouds building here around Mount Hood, but they're not like really shooting up and developing yet into showers or thunderstorms. It's getting a little late in the day for these clouds to be able to accomplish that. Not out of the question, but unlikely. 86 in the Dalles, a pretty good breeze out of the northwest at 13. Now, we have had thunderstorms north of the Columbia River in the Washington Cascades and out towards Mount Adams there, and then more in the high country of eastern Oregon over the Blues, the Wallowa Mountains, and the Elkhorns. These are beginning to die off, too, though. Pretty good one down in Malheur County. Man, they've been hit hard in Malheur County this spring and summer. Remember, it was just a couple weeks ago, they had that tornado spin up near Jordan Valley, and these are fairly strong storms again. So you folks keep an eye on that. 85 in Portland today for our high temperature. Average for this date is about 77. So we're on the plus side, and we will be on the plus side for several days to come. 90 at Pendleton, the Dalles, Medford beating them out by 1 with a 91 down in the Rogue Valley. We mentioned this a bit ago, but remember, a year ago today, we set a record for the date at 116. We also set a record for Portland ever. Highest temperature ever recorded here in the Rose City. Many things that are interesting about this, and it was brutal. We all lived through it 2 years ago. But meteorologically, what's interesting is it blew away the old record, not just by a degree or two. The previous all-time record high for Portland was 107. And we just completely obliterated it, making it up to 116. And remember, we went 108, 112, then finally 116, and then finally cooled off on the evening hours of this date 2 years ago. Tomorrow, though, very much like today, sunny all day long, 57 in the morning, 77 at noon, and we'll make it up to 86 tomorrow, so we'll get maybe a degree warmer than today. Here's the pattern. We got this upper-level storm system. It was over eastern Oregon yesterday. Now it's over the Idaho mountains here, so it's moved out, allowed slightly warmer air to come in. But there's another weather system here. It's weak. It's a weak cold front. We'll move into B.C. But this time of year when that happens, as it so frequently does, it does us the favor of increasing the flow of cooler air from the ocean. so that we don't get too hot. And that'll be the case through the next several days. Then we're going to get high as we go into next week as high pressure builds a little more strongly over us. Beginning on Monday, the 90s are back. Remember, we've already had several 90-degree days this summer, and it looks like high pressure hangs around through the middle of the week. This is a cooler flow, though. That'll be light northerly winds potentially by the end of next week to help to cool things down. So, 4th of July, many of you have plans already. Of course, it is going to be a hot day. We're going to make it up to about 94 on the 4th. The good thing about that is it'll be a really nice evening, just gradually falling through the 80s, so you really won't even need a jacket as you head out to watch the 4th of July fireworks displays around the Northwest. So prepare for that. It's going to be a warm one. Sky should look a lot like this. There are those thunderstorms over on the horizon up in the Washington Cascades. We're at 84 degrees right now. Portland tomorrow, just like today, sunny and warm, up to about 86. We drop it a degree or two for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then 90 Monday, 94 on Tuesday, and 95 on Wednesday. And after that, I think the temperatures will begin to drop. But look at that, not a cloud in the sky, no smoke, thankfully, and no rain, obviously, either, as we roll into July, which is basically our driest month of the year on average.
So the thing about Laurel's meatloaf is we always talk about it, but it does not exist yet.
It's mythical.
I'm crushed.
I'm ready.
I thought it was a real thing.
I'm ready to go for the ice cream.
Or that crab pizza.
Thanks,
Matt. Matt. Still to come, a big change for Washington County. Why ambulance service has been switched over to a company that's already struggling with staffing and response elsewhere. That's it.
Outcome. Everyone's enthusiastic and excited about the new system, and I think that's an important message because we're really taking EMS to the next level.
The Metro West to AMR switch is a blow to Hillsborough-based Metro West, which fought the move. Metro West will still provide non-emergency transport in the county moving forward. The contract has different standards for acceptable ambulance response times depending on where you are in Washington County. For emergencies in urban areas, that's within 10 minutes, suburban within 12 minutes, and rural within 30 minutes.
We'll be watching how all this works. Thank you, Evan. We'll be right back. We've told you about the delays at airports all around the country this week. For one man, his long wait was rewarded with a flight that had plenty of leg room.
I love this story. You may have seen Phil Striger's TikTok video. His American Airlines flight from Oklahoma City to Charlotte on Sunday was delayed 7 times for a total of 18 hours. Laurel, he decided to stick it out, and when the flight was finally ready to go after midnight, you see it, he was the only passenger left with a flight crew that had nobody else to take care of.
But you could tell when they were walking up, they were like, why did this not get canceled? Like, why are we even here? And so immediately we just started picking on each other. Like, you know, they came up and they just started laughing at me and they're like, hey, no snacks, no food for you. You're sitting at the back of the plane, whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me see how many times I can hit that call button. And, you know.
As you can tell, they all had a little bit of fun. Striger got to move up front with all the personalized attention. He called it the best flight of his life.
I bet patience paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the chaos at our nation's airports is one of the big stories. In just a few minutes on NBC Nightly News, we'll get tips on how to take action if your flight gets canceled or delayed this summer. And the show starts in just over 2 minutes.
Safe travels. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We're going to leave you this Wednesday with a view from our Dalles sky camera. What are we talking about sunset and temperature-wise out there?
87 beautiful degrees in the Dalles. Look at that lovely sight of Mount Hood there. Sunset tonight at 8:58.
You always have the stats. Coming up after Nightly, Senator Ron Wyden live taking your questions from Pat Doris.
KGW News is back at 6 o'clock with Pat, Senator Wyden, and the story.